Hey all, I'm Yuksen, and I welcome you to another short box from Warhammer 40k's Grim History from the Beyond. Last time, in the box titled The Raptors, the Stars That Use Camo, I discussed the Raptors' origins, homeworld, and organization. This time I shall discuss some of their earlier campaigns, their beliefs, and how other chapters view the Raptors. Now, for those of you who are unaware, I've started a series of boxes on minor chapters. As such, let me know in the comments if there is a minor chapter you'd like me to discuss. While on the subject of audience participation, if you enjoy this box, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. If you want to go that extra mile, become a member. With that, let's talk Birds of Prey. I decided the first thing to do would be to discuss the Raptors' notable campaigns that start from when they returned in M39 and is stopped just before the Badab War. By doing so, it'll lead some credence towards their beliefs and how they are perceived. Right away, there's a problem. So, during my last box, I mentioned that they reappeared on the Imperial Order of Battle during the Khazariad Wars at full strength in M39. Despite records of this actually occurring, there aren't really any records of the wars themselves. As such, I decided to move on to the next. This would be the Sancta Angelis campaign. This campaign took place from 339 to 370.M39. In 339.M39, a Raptors task force, isolated from Imperial support and communication by warp storms, conducted a 30-year campaign against Wargo. Bereft of outside aid or supply, the Raptors engaged in a guerrilla war in the very heart of the Orc Dominion, striking against dozens of different orc tribes on scores of worlds. This campaign reached its climax when the chapter eliminated War Boss Irongold and his 100-strong mega-armored bodyguards. This caused a massive internal war for dominance amongst the orcs and effectively ended the war. It should be noted that the Raptors utilized desert camouflage during this deployment. The following campaign is against the Xenos of the Eldari variety. This campaign was known as Crucible of Endicon 9, and it took place in 236.M40. Now, in the early years of the 40th millennium, the hive world of Endicon 9 fell under the assault of Eldari Corsair hosts, piratical raiders who enslaved the population and set them to systematically strip their world of all material wealth. After nearly 80 years of occupation and torment, Imperial force finally arrived to liberate Endicon 9, spearheaded by a combined force of Space Marines from the Raptors and Red Scorpions chapters. The battle for control of the space over Endicon 9 was brutal, with the Imperial Navy task force sustaining heavy casualties as it drove off the sleek Eldari Voidcraft, especially amongst the lumbering transports that bore the Liberation Army's Astra Militarum contingent. With their manpower depleted to dangerous levels, the Raptors commander Captain Kel Vamar proposed utilizing the famed ability of his chapter in stealth and infiltration to engage the Eldari by ambush and wear them down in a campaign of hit-and-run strikes before landing the remainder of their support troops. The Red Scorpions' 5th Company, under Commander Orin Sega, refused to have any part of what he termed cowardice in the face of the enemy, and proceeded to initiate a full-drop assault without any support. The resulting battle was successful in breaking and scattering the Eldari ground forces, but at a terrible price. Of the 83 Red Scorpions who descended to the service of Endicon 9, only 16 returned. The few members of the Apothecarion which had accompanied the 5th Company spent many solar days searching the drifts of Eldari dead to recover all of their chapters fallen. The campaign was eventually completed by the forces of the Raptors chapter, who lost but a handful of brothers in a protracted harrying campaign to eliminate the remaining Eldari. The last campaign I'm going to mention is the Solsolid campaign. Taking place from 775.M41 to 777.M41, the Solsolid campaign was part of the 4th Quadrant Rebellion. The Raptors, along with the Dark Angels, Skull Bearers, and Red Wolves, are called upon to pacify the Fourth Quadrant and help quell the largest civil war the Imperium has seen in 1,000 years. During their 3-year involvement, the Raptors fight alongside elements of Battlefleet Solar, focusing on the Stolzlid subsector, where several Imperial task forces have been unsuccessful at stamping out the ideas of progress and democracy, which have taken root at the subsector capital Arinar. The Raptors take command of the Imperial Guard units and make use of them as diversions for the many precision strikes against the enemy's command and supply infrastructure. With the enemy's forces in disarray, following the strikes, the Imperial Guard are able to overwhelm the majority of the traitor units, while the Raptors assault the sky palaces of the Stolzlid Ordinators, mercilessly killing them and thus ending the revolt within the Stolzlid subsector. It is worth noting that during this time, the Raptors fought at full chapter strength, something unusual for the often independently operating companies. As a side note, they also were present during the Fourth Quadrant's rebellion's Agamon Revolt. But all that is noted concerning their involvement is that their forces, including a Raptor's land raider Proteus, were in temperate winter camouflage. Now let's take a look at the chapter's belief, shall we? As a chapter, the Raptors have been brought to the brink of extinction several times, but the chapter has nevertheless continued to function, rebuild, and once more face its enemies. Because of this, part of the Raptors' mentality is that the chapter will endure no matter the cost, and that the eventual destruction and rebuilding of all chapters in the Adeptus Astartes is inevitable. As one battle brother dies, another takes his place to continue the endless struggle. To them, death is the only constant in the universe, and regardless of victory or defeat, it is the only true reward a battle brother can look forward to. Quite apart from casting a dark cloud over the battle brothers of the Raptors chapter, this outlook fills them with stoic pragmatism to face everything that the universe can throw at them, to fulfill their duty until they eventually die and another takes their place. Despite acknowledging they will eventually die, they have a remarkable grim determination to survive. It can be assumed that this is because of their extreme zeal for the Emperor of Mankind, and that their duty must be fulfilled for as long as possible. Now, one of the Raptors' hallmarks is the ability to adapt to changing circumstances and respond swiftly to the fortunes or misfortunes of war. This has tempered their character with the general disregard and suspicion of the mere trappings of honor and glory, favoring results by any means necessary. When faced with insurmountable odds, the Raptors manifest the ability to bend rather than break, and to change their tactics and withdraw to fight again, where more prideful chapters would perhaps choose to stand and die. The Raptors value the art of concealment and utilize secrecy and surprise as paramount weapons in their arsenal. As a result, they have always cultivated in themselves an ability to see clearly through the fog of war and strike at the hidden heart of the enemy, where they can inflict the most damage and achieve their objectives, undistracted by hubris and hidebound dogma. In order to attain such a goal, the chapter's battle brothers are trained in a variety of ways that are remarkably inconsistent with most chapters. Perhaps most critical of these changes is their attitude towards the Codex Astartes. The Raptors consider the Codex to be a critical guide to strategy and tactics. They do not, however, consider that its words must be obeyed without question. Ultimately, the Raptors chapter is focused upon success in all of its endeavors. Failure is never an acceptable option, but neither is an approach that needlessly throws away the lives of battle brothers or irreplaceable war gear. When an objective is identified, these Space Marines pursue the goal relentlessly. However, their tactics are seldom direct. They study a situation intently so that they may accomplish their goal with the minimum of risk. This outlook has often caused tension during those missions where the Raptors work closely with Space Marines of other chapters. On more than one occasion, the Raptors have been accused of cowardice by other Adeptus Astartes formations. Members of the Raptors do not look kindly upon such accusations, but they seldom take such insults as a major affront. For their part, Raptors consider the more orthodox chapters to be blind adherents to tradition. While they seldom instigate such rivalry, they accept it and reluctantly participate in it when such actions do not interfere with accomplishing their objectives. Flexibility also plays a key role in their decision-making process. After all, conditions in the field often change with alarming speed. Before a Space Marine of the Raptors chapter can assume an officer's responsibilities, he is thoroughly trained in all aspects of battlefield awareness and observation. Tactical cognizance and strategic prioritization play crucial roles at every level of command. These Battle Brothers are expected to identify any changes that occur through the course of the battle, including unexpected enemy response, at the earliest stages and act upon them accordingly. Throughout the chapter, blind obedience is strongly discouraged. All these Space Marines are expected to act upon their own initiative at the appropriate times. However, such actions must fit within the context of the larger battle scheme. Battle Brothers consider unorthodox tactics during their preparation for any conflict. These include unusual deployment maneuvers and infiltration. At times, they have gone so far as to assemble ad hoc units specifically appropriate to resolving a particular tactical problem. In this same way, Battle Brothers of the Raptors chapter will concede the articles of faith and honor in the name of victory. They also willingly concede minor objectives in the interest of achieving overall military success. This idea is foreign to many of the other chapters of the Adeptus Astartes, but well within the goal-focused flexibility of the Raptors. Their continued focus on the overall conflict and goals rather than individual honor or glory is key to propagating this ideal among the chapter's Battle Brothers. To finish things off, I'll give my opinion on how some chapters perceive this unique chapter. Note, these perceptions are based either on the interactions between them and the Raptors, or the general character of the chapter. The easiest would be those who follow the Codex vehemently. Strong examples would be the Genesis chapter, the Red Scorpions, the Praetors of Orpheus, Black Consuls, Nova Marines, Hammers of Dorn, and most famously, the Ultramarines. The fact that, according to Captain Ardius of the Ultramarines, their reckless disregard for the Codex Astartes is legendary. Chapters like the aforementioned perceive them anywhere from cowardly to disrespectful, even possibly to the point of heretical. It also won't be hard to imagine that those who find their glory in close combat would see them as either weak or cowardly. In the end, I think the chapter that they would probably operate the best with would be the Death Watch. Both focus more on what is required and less on what the Codex says. Death Watch also rely on their forces being highly flexible. While these are my thoughts concerning how many of the chapters perceive the Raptors, I'd love to hear what others think about my assessment. Maybe you could even put forth your own opinions on chapters I didn't mention specifically. Well, I hope you enjoyed this short walk. Next week I shall finish my Raptors series by discussing their notable characters, equipment, and some more campaigns. Following this, I shall be doing the Space Sharks / Carchrodons. I'd like to once again thank John Bomb L225 and Ninja Sniper Killer 65 for these suggestions. Also, don't forget to please follow, like, comment, subscribe, or become one of our merry band and join our membership program. Have a great day, and as always, until next time, this is Yuksen signing off.